What's up guys, Cattle here, and I wanted to talk a little bit about the new Varian changes and how this patch has affected him and what the new build is. So I just played around 10 games of the new Taunt Varian in Hero League, and I think I have a pretty good idea of how he plays now and what the changes have really done to affect his playstyle and his power level. Starting with the changes, a big change was the health nerf. What the health nerf actually did is it lowered his base HP by about 480 at level 1. So levels 1 through 3, you're going to be really squishy now. You have much less health than before. But with Taunt now being available at level 4, you get the 30% bonus health and the 15 armor as of level 4 already. This puts his health a lot higher than it used to be on the old variant, plus you have the 15 armor. This means that from levels 4 through 9, you're going to have higher HP and higher armor than the old variant, meaning you're actually a decent amount tankier than he used to be. Once he hits level 10, the old variant will outscale again. You have the higher old base health, which means levels 10 through 20, you're going to be squishier still than the new changes. And then actually once you hit level 22 on new variant, you now have more health than the old one. Most games don't reach that point, so pretty much you're playing around being squishy levels 1 through 3. 4 through 9, you have more health, more armor. And 10 through 20, you're going to be a little squishier. A lot of changes happened to his base kit as well. Starting with his Q, they reworked it now to heal Varian for a small amount per enemy hit, and this is increased by a lot per enemy hero hit. So you want to be holding your Q now kind of as your old base HP. Instead of using your Q instantly to slow, you now kind of save your Q and make sure that you hit as many heroes as possible to make up for the HP nerf essentially. Since you're only down a few hundred HP by the end of the game, if you hit 2 or 3 heroes, you're actually essentially out healing your old base HP. So he does get a decent amount of tankiness from being able to hit heroes off that. The parry changes were pretty big. You no longer have the level 7 talent Live by the Sword, which increased his parry duration from 1.25 to 1.75. That gave you a lot of extra tankiness, especially with Shield Wall. Shield Wall is now at 10 and only has 1 charge of parry connected to it once you pick it up, plus the cooldown is lowered. What this does is it gives you more parries over time, even though they only last 1.25 now. You do get more parries as the fight goes on, but you can't do the old Varian, essentially protected by the way playstyle of being undamageable for the first 3.5 seconds of the fight with another parry coming up in 1.5 seconds. So you have less burst mitigation, but you have more sustain overall, and you have more parries over time essentially. So he's more susceptible to getting bursted, while a lot less susceptible to being poked out with the changes. His E stays basically the same, nothing's changed there, and same with Taunt. You have the same effect except for being able to pick it at level 4. All that being said, this is what I think his new build is, and then I'll talk a little bit about how his playstyle has changed as well. The talent build I've been going as of now, after testing him a little, is still going overpower at 1. You have really good synergy with Taunt, being able to refresh your heroic strike. It gives you a lot of extra burst. When you charge in, you auto them, taunt them, proc your parry for the extra heroic strike, hit them again. It's a really high amount of burst damage, especially this early in the game, plus it has really good synergy with talent later on. Level 4, Taunt. This is a Taunt Variant guide. You're going to go Taunt. Might be able to play with these, but yeah, not in Taunt Variant, sorry. Level 7 is still kind of up in the air. I think Lionheart synergizes very well with how his new Q plays. You do get a lot more healing from heroes, and it does give you a huge amount of sustain. I've tried out some Second Wind plus High King's Quest on Varian as well, but it does feel like once your health drops below the 50%, it does get riskier and riskier to auto-attack, meaning you can't really get a lot of value out of this talent. Victory Rush has some potential on maps like Dragonshire and Spider Tomb, where you're fighting in minion waves a lot, and you might be able to proc this enough for the heal to really be worth it. That being said, though, I do think Lionheart is the most consistent and the strongest talent. Level 10, with all the changes and the lower health pool, you have to go Shield Wall all the time. Unfortunately, Warbringer doesn't have enough attached to it to really be worth a level 10 talent anymore, and Shield Wall has gotten more parries over time, so it is still a very strong talent, plus it gives you just an insane amount of damage mitigation. Level 13, most of the time you want to be going Mortal Strike. Mortal Strike has really good synergy with Overpower at 1. You can time your parry to get a second Mortal Strike very fast. You can get healing reduction on 2 targets, or you can refresh it on whatever target you're on. And this makes it really easy to burst down targets that are taunted due to the fact that their healer can't really save them. So Mortal Strike is a really, really strong talent. The other strong talent at this tier is Shattering Throw. You do get a lot of value off this if they have any amount of shields. Really good against stuff like Kerrigan, really good against Tassadar, good against Johanna. That's kind of a situational pick. I do take Shattering Throw a decent amount, and that's one of the situations where I've been considering going High King's Quest plus the second wind version of the build, due to the fact that the extra auto attack damage from High King's Quest scales really well with the passive from Shattering Throw, so you can really knock their shields out really fast. But that being said, Mortal Strike is the default pick, and most of the time will get more value. Level 16, the only real choice is Armor Banner. Armor Banner just, it synergizes really well with the fact that you have armor built into your kit, gives your whole team armor, and it's just the best banner of them all. You can't really go wrong with Armor Banner ever. Level 20 is an interesting tier now that the Q heal got added. A lot more value is in Glory to the Alliance, because not only does it increase the healing for all your nearby ally heroes, it also gives you more self-healing off of your Q. So instead of your Q only healing for the 300 plus the 50%, so around 450, if I have Glory to the Alliance, it actually heals for over 600 per hero hit. So off of that, you can really get an insane amount of sustain in fights. So it's healing me for 691. Which is a pretty ridiculous amount, plus you get the banner cooldown up again really fast. The other option that I've been liking is Demoralizing Shout. After the last buffs, it's actually really strong, 40% reduced damage dealt for 5 seconds. That's a really large amount, and you can really hurt heroes like Sonya, other tanks, bruisers that are getting in there. It's really easy to hit on them. Greymane, anyone that dives in, it really guts their damage, and it also has really good synergy with Banner of Ironforge, where not only are you reducing their damage, you're making your whole team take less damage. So it's kind of up to you, depending on if you think Glory will get more value than Demoralizing Shout or not, but I think Glory to the Alliance is the default pick now. Taunt is still really good as well if you think you'll get enough value off it, but most of the time heroes are trying not to hit you anyways, and you don't really get too much value out of this outside of being against like a Tracer or a Tychus. So yeah, this is my standard build now. I'm relatively impressed with him. He is less tanky overall, in the sense that he can die much more easily to burst, but at the same time, the sustain from his built-in heal and Lion's Fang plus Lionheart plus Glory to the Alliance late in the game does make him deceptively tanky overall. And in long fights, he's much more durable now than he used to be. Plus, you have less downtime on being able to do things. Old Varian, you would basically use your shield walls, use all your spells, and then kind of kite around until it's up again. New Varian, you only have pretty much a 3 3/4 second window where your parry's down. So in that time, you can set up for your next taunts, reposition, and you have a lot more time you're able to actually fight. So that sense, I actually enjoy his playstyle a lot more, and I do think he's much more well-rounded. You have a huge power spike at level 4 now. You get your ult earlier than most other heroes, which is really insane. You have a point-and-click CC for 1 1/4 seconds, and with heroes like Li Ming, Greymane, Genji, all those kinds of heroes that have a lot of follow-up damage, it's really easy to get picks now early in the game. So the hero does have a ton of snowball potential, and a lot of the games I played that I won today, we were up 3 to 4 levels pretty early just off of getting taunt picks off of combos like Varian Tyrande, Varian Li Ming, things like that. So his early game is much stronger from levels 4 through 9, though you do have to be careful taking too much magic damage since you don't have shield wall until 10. Past that, he seems like a pretty good hero now. I think he's a little bit worse in the situations where it's like, oh, this is a Varian game on the old Varian. You see the game, you're like, I can't die in this game. Varian is God here. I think in those situations, he's a little weaker now than he used to be. But that being said, since he's more well-rounded, has more sustain, isn't as revolving around shield wall, I do think he has more situations where he's viable now, and I don't really see a problem picking him pretty much every game of Hero League. Whether or not he'll see enough play in competitive, that's yet to be seen, and we'll figure that out once we scrim with him. But as of right now, I'd say my initial impressions are positive, and I think he's a good hero to pick up now, and I would recommend playing him in Hero League. He's a very fun playstyle. I think he's a little harder than he used to be, but once you get a hang of him, I think he's a really strong hero in at least Hero League. Well, that's it. That's my initial impressions. Thanks for watching, and I'll see everyone next time. Bye-bye.